All right, everybody, get ready because today we are going deep into electric vehicles.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah, this time you guys have given us some really interesting stuff to look at.
Oh, yeah. What do we got?
Well, we've got like this whole report straight from Italy, and
Wow.
we've also got Scotty Kilmer's take on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that guy.
Yeah, pretty strong opinions there.
Yeah, he's definitely not holding back.
And then to top it all off, we have this mysterious little note.
Really?
Yeah, it just says, Stellantis and Volkswagen need a solid-state battery solution, Calpurnia.
Interesting.
Yeah, very cryptic.
So what's the plan for today's deep dive?
Well, it looks like you want to get past all the hype around electric vehicles and really see if they're the future or not.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are wondering that.
For sure. So let's dive in.
Right.
So maybe we should start with something that both the Italian report and Scotty Kilmer seem to agree on.
Okay. What's that?
Well, emissions. Obviously, everyone's talking about how EVs are supposed to be better for the environment.
Right. And they are when it comes to tailpipe emissions.
Mm.
You're not burning gas, so you're not releasing those harmful pollutants into the air.
So I guess the elephant in the room is really the elephant in the garage in this case.
Exactly. Both sources acknowledge that EVs are a game changer when it comes to reducing emissions while you're driving.
I was actually looking at the report earlier, and it says that EVs could cut emissions by like 70% compared to gas cars?
Yeah, up to 70%. That's pretty significant.
Yeah, that's a big number. But Kate, even if we accept that EVs are cleaner to drive, what about making those batteries in the first place? The report mentions that we need to consider the environmental impact of that whole process too.
Right, that's an important point. We can't just ignore the fact that mining the materials, manufacturing the batteries, and eventually disposing of them all have an environmental footprint.
So is it a wash then?
Not really. The report actually emphasizes that even when you factor in those impacts, EVs still come out ahead in terms of overall emissions compared to gas cars.
Oh, so it's still a net positive.
Yes. Over the entire lifespan of the vehicle, from production to disposal, EVs generally produce fewer emissions than gasoline cars.
Okay, that's good to know. But let's be honest, the price tag on a new EV can be pretty scary.
Yeah, no argument there.
So does the Italian report say anything about whether they actually save you money in the long run?
Well, they do touch on that, and they suggest that you might end up saving money over time.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Your fuel costs would be lower, and EVs generally require less maintenance.
Oh, yeah. I guess no oil changes and stuff.
Exactly. Fewer moving parts, less wear and tear.
Okay, so that makes sense. But then we have Scotty Kilmer over here talking about how he had to fork over almost $20,000 for a new battery for his 9-year-old BMW i3.
Yeah, I saw that video. Ouch.
And over $2,000 for an AC compressor. What is going on there?
Yeah, Kilmer's experience definitely raises some eyebrows and makes you wonder about those long-term savings.
Like, is he exaggerating, or are BMWs just that much more expensive to fix?
It's hard to say. Maybe it's a combination of factors. The Italian report doesn't get into specifics about repair costs, so it's tough to make a direct comparison.
Well, it's a little unnerving, to say the least. Okay, let's move on to something else that seems to be a big concern for people.
Sure. What's that?
Charging Scotty Kilmer made it sound like a total nightmare in his video. He was talking about being stuck at a regular outlet for like 10 hours.
Yes, I remember that part. Well, Kilmer's experience highlights a really important point about the different levels of charging available for EVs.
Like there are different ways to charge your car.
Exactly. He was using what's called level 1 charging, which is basically plugging your car into a standard household outlet.
Like what you would use for a lamp.
Yeah, pretty much. And as Kilmer found out, it's painfully slow.
The report talked about level 2 charging, right?
Yes. That's the more practical option. It uses a 240-volt circuit, similar to what you'd use for a dryer or an oven.
So you'd need to have an electrician install a special outlet.
Most likely, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where Kilmer brings up another potential snag, the installation costs.
How much are we talking about?
Well, it can vary a lot depending on your home's electrical setup, but it could easily be thousands of dollars.
Oh, wow. So even if you're saving money on gas and maintenance, you might get hit with a big upfront cost just to charge your car.
It's definitely a trade-off to consider. The Italian report doesn't go into detail about these installation costs, but it does emphasize that we need way more charging infrastructure if EVs are going to become mainstream.
Especially public charging stations, right?
Exactly. People need to be able to charge their cars conveniently, whether they're at home, at work, or on the go.
It makes you wonder how the average person's daily routine would have to change to fit in EV charging.
Yeah, that's a good question, especially if you don't have a garage or a dedicated parking spot with charging capabilities.
All right, so we've talked about emissions, costs, and charging. What's next?
Well, how about repairs?
Yeah, what about that? Is it true that you need to find some kind of special EV Jedi to even look under the hood?
Well, there's definitely some truth to that. The Italian report mentions that you need specialized expertise to work on EVs. Not just any mechanic can handle these systems.
And I remember Kilmer had something to say about that too.
Oh, yeah. He had that whole thing about Tesla not having standard OVD ports.
OBD
Yeah,
ports.
those are the ports that mechanics use to plug in their diagnostic tools and figure out what's wrong with a car.
So Teslas don't have those.
Nope, not in the traditional sense. Anyway, Kilmer's point was that this lack of standardization could really limit your repair options.
Like you might be stuck going to a Tesla dealership and paying their prices.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that could get expensive fast. The Italian report doesn't directly address this issue with Tesla, but it does talk about the need for more training programs to get mechanics up to speed on EV repairs.
Yeah, it seems like the whole EV repair situation is still kind of a Wild West out there.
In some ways, yes, there's a lot that's still evolving, and we're all figuring it out as we go.
Okay, well, before we get too lost in all the technical stuff, I want to circle back to something that really caught my attention, that cryptic note from Calpurnia.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
What do you make of that whole solid-state battery solution thing?
Well, the report talks about battery innovation and mentions things like lithium and solid-state batteries being potential game changers.
Right.
But Calpurnia makes it sound way more urgent, like it's a matter of survival for Stellantis and Volkswagen.
Interesting. Why do you think she singled out those two companies specifically?
I don't know. It's like she has some inside knowledge or something. Maybe they're falling behind in the race to develop this solid-state technology.
Maybe. Or maybe she's just a really keen observer of the industry and she sees how high the stakes are.
Well, I'm definitely intrigued. I think we need to dig a little deeper into this whole solid-state battery thing and see what's really going on.
Agreed. Let's dive into part 2 and see what we can uncover. All right, so before we got sidetracked by that mysterious note, we were talking about all the innovation happening with EV batteries.
Yeah, and it feels like Calpurnia's note is hinting at something big on the horizon.
It does, doesn't it?
Like this whole solid-state battery thing is make or break for companies like Stellantis and Volkswagen.
Right.
To be honest with you, I'm a little lost here. What exactly are solid-state batteries and why are they such a big deal?
Okay, well, let's start with what we have now. Most EVs today use lithium-ion batteries.
Like our phones and laptops.
Exactly. They're pretty good, but they do have some limitations.
Okay, like what's so bad about sticking with what we know?
Well, for one thing, they're heavy, which
Okay.
affects the car's efficiency.
Oh, that makes sense.
Plus, they're expensive to make, which is part of the reason why EVs have such a high sticker price.
Yeah, I guess I never thought about that.
And then there's the whole charging speed issue. You know, it can take a while to charge an EV compared to just filling up your gas tank.
Yeah, that's definitely a pain.
And then there's the safety aspect, too.
Mm-hmm.
Remember those incidents with smartphone batteries catching fire a few years back? Yeah, well, imagine that happening with a car battery.
Yep.
It's a risk that some manufacturers are really worried about.
Okay, so it sounds like solid-state batteries are supposed to be the answer, but what makes them so different?
The key difference is the electrolyte.
The what?
The electrolyte. It's the material that allows ions to flow between the anode and cathode of the battery.
Okay.
In traditional lithium-ion batteries, the electrolyte is a liquid or a gel.
I see.
But in solid-state batteries, it's a solid dater. Hence the name.
Okay, so it's literally solid. That seems like kind of a small change, though. Does it really make that much of a difference?
You would be surprised.
Yeah.
It actually has a huge impact on the battery's overall performance.
Really? Like how?
Well, for starters, solid-state batteries are much safer because they're less likely to overheat and catch fire.
That's good.
They're also more energy dense, meaning they can store more energy in the same amount of space.
So you could have an EV with a much longer range.
Exactly. Potentially hundreds of miles more on a single charge.
Wow. And what about charging speed?
That's another area where solid-state batteries have a big advantage. They have the potential to charge much faster. Imagine being able to recharge your EV in about the same time it takes to fill up your gas tank.
Okay, now I see why Calpurnia was so concerned. Like, this technology could completely change the game.
Absolutely. It has the potential to revolutionize the entire automotive industry.
But if it's so great, why aren't we all driving around with solid-state batteries right now?
Ah, well, there's the catch. The technology is still in its early stages. The biggest hurdle right now is mass production.
Oh, I see.
The manufacturing process for solid-state batteries is extremely complex and expensive. much more so than for lithium-ion batteries.
So it's a matter of figuring out how to make them on a large scale without breaking the bank.
Exactly. Researchers are working on it, but it's a slow and painstaking process.
So do you think those companies that Calpurnia mentioned, Stellantis and Volkswagen, do you think they're close to a breakthrough?
It's hard to say for sure. Her note could mean a lot of things. Maybe she knows something we don't about a major advancement.
Okay.
Or maybe she's just trying to emphasize how critical this technology is for these companies to stay competitive.
Yeah, it's like a real-life thriller unfolding.
It is, isn't it?
But let's step back from the corporate drama for a second and think about the average person who's considering buying an EV right now. What should they be thinking about?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? On the one hand, you have this exciting new technology that's constantly evolving.
Right.
But on the other hand, you know that those game-changing solid-state batteries might be just around the corner.
So do you wait or do you jump in now?
It's a tough call.
What factors should people consider when making that decision?
Well, a lot depends on your individual needs and circumstances. You know, the Italian report reminds us that there are a lot of things to think about,
Like what?
like cost, charging infrastructure, maintenance, and of course, you need to find an EV that fits your lifestyle.
Right.
If you can't easily install a level 2 charger at home, or you don't have access to reliable public charging, it might be wise to wait.
That makes sense.
But if you're really eager to go electric, and you're okay with the current limitations, then there are already plenty of good EVs on the market.
It's like standing at a fork in the road.
I like that analogy.
One path leads to the familiar world of gasoline cars, and the other path leads to the uncharted territory of EVs.
And like any good road trip, the most important thing is to do your research, understand the potential detours, and make sure you're prepared for the journey ahead.
All right, well, I'm ready to keep exploring. But before we move on, I have to ask, what about Calpurnia?
What about her?
Do you think we'll ever find out who she is and what her connection is to all of this?
That's a great question. Is she just someone with an uncanny ability to predict industry trends? Or does she have some inside information that could change the whole EV landscape?
I guess we'll have to wait and see.
I guess so.
Welcome back, everyone. It feels like we've been down quite the rabbit hole with all this electric vehicle stuff.
We have. It's been quite a journey.
Yeah, from emissions and costs to charging and mysterious notes, we've covered a lot of ground.
It's a complex topic, that's for sure.
It is. And speaking of mysteries, I'm still hung up on that note from Calpurnia.
Oh yeah, Calpurnia. I've been thinking about her too.
I mean, I'm dying to know who she is and why she seems to know so much about what Stellantis and Volkswagen are up to.
Right. Well, we may never know her true identity,
Yeah, probably not.
but we can try to understand why she sent that message, why she's so focused on those two companies needing a solid-state battery solution.
You think it's more than just her being a savvy industry insider?
Maybe. Think about it. She specifically said they need it to survive.
Yeah, that's pretty strong language.
Like there's a real sense of urgency there.
Yeah, but why single out Stellantis and Volkswagen? What makes them so vulnerable in this whole EV shift?
Well, let's look at their history. Both of those companies built their empires on combustion engine technology.
Right, they've been the kings of the gas-powered world for decades.
Exactly. But now the whole landscape is changing. Consumers want electric options. Governments are pushing for stricter emission standards.
So they're getting squeezed from both sides.
Pretty much. And it's not easy for these massive companies to just pivot overnight.
But they're huge. They must have tons of resources to invest in new technology.
They do, but maybe they haven't been as aggressive as some of the companies that embraced EVs earlier on.
Like who?
Hey, look about Tesla. They were all in on electric from the start.
True. But shifting an entire company's focus, its manufacturing, its supply chains, it's a massive undertaking.
It is, and remember, we're still in the early stages of solid-state battery technology.
Right. It's not like you can just flip a switch and start mass producing them.
Exactly. The manufacturing process is incredibly complex and expensive.
So maybe Calpurnia's note is a sign that Stellantis and Volkswagen are lagging behind in this race to develop a solid-state battery.
That's definitely a possibility. Maybe she knows something we don't about their internal struggles.
It's a fascinating thought, isn't it?
It is. It really makes you think about how much power individuals can have in shaping the narrative around these emerging technologies.
Yeah, Calpurnia's note might have been short and cryptic,
Right.
but it's definitely sparked a lot of questions and made us all stop and think.
And that's a good thing. It reminds us that the future of electric vehicles isn't set in stone. There are so many factors at play here.
Like what?
Well, technological advancements, of course.
Yeah.
But also market forces, government policies, the decisions of individual companies, and even individual people like Calpurnia.
So where does all this leave us, the people who are actually thinking about buying an EV?
Yeah, what should we take away from all of this?
What's the bottom line?
I think the biggest takeaway is that the transition to electric vehicles isn't going to be a straight line.
What do you mean?
I mean, it's going to be messy. There will be breakthroughs and setbacks, wins and losses. It's a dynamic process.
And it's a process that we're all part of, whether we're driving an EV today or still on the fence.
Exactly. And I think the most important thing we can do is to stay informed, to be critical of the information we're bombarded with, and to keep having these conversations.
Conversations like this one.
Exactly. We need to keep talking about the future of transportation.
Well said. Well, I think that about wraps up our deep dive into the world of electric vehicles.
Wow, that went by fast.
It did. We covered a lot of ground. We explored the promises and the realities of EVs, dug into the complexities of batteries, and tried to decipher the cryptic message of a mysterious figure named Calpurnia.
Quite the adventure.
It was. And even though we may not have all the answers, I think we've all learned a lot.
I agree. I know I have.
So to everyone listening, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it informative and maybe even a little bit inspiring.
And hopefully a little bit entertaining too.
Of course. And remember, the future is still being written. We all have a role to play in shaping the direction of transportation.
So stay curious, keep exploring, and keep those conversations going.
Until next time, keep those minds charged.